Hi there, this is Sheena Rowlands and today I'm sharing with you my latest layout for Hey Little Magpie using Simple Stories, My Story. And the paper with the books is called Share Your Story, and it was the inspiration behind this layout. So off camera, over a couple of evenings, I cut out 2 or 3 lines of books from the paper into individual pieces. And I decided then I was going to put them back together in a slightly different direction. I'm going to aim to do like a chevron effect using the books. So that's what I'm just trying to work out whether that's actually going to work. So I've got a photograph of my daughter, obviously reading, and the tag is off the tag sheet and that says reading is dreaming with your eyes open. And I thought that was such a lovely sentiment that I definitely needed to go on a layout. So I'm just, as you can see, I'm still trying to work out. I'm looking at 3 points. I think that could really work. And I'm just mixing up the colours, seeing how I like it. Now I know this is probably sounds time consuming and you could probably go and just stick it right down, but I wanted to figure out how far up the paper I wanted to start and also whether I'd actually cut enough pieces to do this and to mix the colours up. I knew I'd be covering up some potentially with the tag and the photo, but I believe that it's easier for me to just put them all into place rather than missing them out, because if you change your mind about where you're going to put things, you've still got to fill the gaps. So I'm still working this out. So I've got to cut out another line by the looks of it, to be able to get that to go to 3 lines of chevron. So I'm just looking at adding a cluster in the bottom right corner. So I'm just having a play around with some of the chipboard and some of the die cuts and some of the stickers as well. So, and I like the idea. I'm going to create maybe a bit of a diagonal as well. So we'll see how that goes. But I definitely need to cut some more books. So I'm trimming off another line now. Once you've trimmed the background colour off them, they don't fill as much space. And I have to say, there was a chance when I had a little bit of a wobble when I thought, do they still look like books? But with the photo and the tag, I do think it brings it all back together. So I definitely felt it was worth then that I'd cut them out. So I'm just going through all the ephemera there, and I've added some bits and pieces around me so that I can start to embellish when I've finished. I've taken a lot of the other supplies away because I feel that it helps focus my mind on what I'm actually trying to achieve. So I'm just adding in that 3rd zigzag chevron line, and I'm just trying to get them to mirror. It doesn't matter about the size of the books, and I'm now thinking I might actually extend it a little at the side so it literally doesn't quite go side to side across the cardstock, but there may be like a 1/2 inch gap. So I think that's going to work. So there's no point me finishing it. I want to do a little bit of mixed media on some cardstock before I actually put it down. I felt the chevrons on the layout on the left are a bit low, so I'm bringing in a couple of rulers and I'm going to try and replicate it on the right. I'm only putting a few pencil marks down. I want the chevrons to be about 4¼ inches from the top book to the bottom, and I've marked the top 3 points. I've marked at 6 inches, 3 inches, and 9 going across, just to give me an idea. Once I start sticking them down, it won't be as perfect as that sounded, but it's just so that visually it's going to feel quite central when I start to stick the books down. I hope that makes sense. That's the sort of thing I was thinking of anyway. So I've come in now, I've got a distress oxide and just adding a little bit of colour to the background. Now at the moment this looks quite dark, but when I come to take the final photographs you can barely see it, unfortunately. So I'm wondering now whether I should have been a little bit more heavy-handed, but hey, that's done. So just using the packaging technique, which I'm sure you've all done before. So I'm just putting the ink, the distress oxide on the messy mat, picking it up with a paintbrush, adding a bit of water and just squishing it. I've always got a kitchen roll to hand so that I can mop up any spillages, anything like that. But I just want it to be both sides of the chevrons and a little bit where the cluster is going to be at the bottom. This is just adding a bit of background and stopping the cardstock being so white, really. And I just think it will help ground the books when I start to stick them down. So just using a bit more with a little less water. I'm going to put some splatters over the top as well. And then it doesn't take long for this to dry, so then I can start to get sticking. So I've got the 2 side by side. I've got the cardstock I want to use and the one where I'd laid it out as an example. and I'm going to just, I'm not going to use them necessarily in the same order, but I'm going to start by putting a book on the 3, 6 and 9 inch, and then I'm going to work a zigzag, trying to get the heights similar. But obviously the books are different widths, so I want it to look a little irregular as I go. So I've missed a bit out there because obviously you don't need to be seeing me do this. And also you won't see me glue them as well. And I've done that off camera because it did take a bit of time to get them all stuck down. I've just used a bit of wet glue. So really happy with the way that they're looking. I've got my photo, I've got the tag, and I'm now looking at this bottom cluster. I brought in a globe as well because books can take you all over the world in your mind. And I thought that worked really well with this range to go in with that. I wanted to soften it a bit because obviously you've got all these vertical lines with the books. So I think I'm going to add some softness here with the plant, and potentially I'm going to add some more softness around the photo and the tag as well. Just trimming the tag down a little bit. I just felt it was a little bit too big next to the photo, and I punched the hole in it as well. So come back in with some of the smaller papers, and I'm going to add a couple of layers behind the photograph. So that's from that's a 3x4 card, but I mainly want it for the dark green. You're not going to see the image there. And I think there's a patterned one as well that I'm just tucking in behind the photo, just to echo the colours that are already in the books behind the photograph. Now my daughter's wearing some beautifully flowered Lucy and Yak dungarees there. Totally, that was a complete surprise that it actually goes really well with the paper. I was initially going to print the photo in black and white, but they go really well with the colours. So actually I thought I might add some flowers to go with the flowers that are on the dungarees. So I think they would definitely soften with the plant around the photos at the top, also giving that relaxing feel that when you get when you actually are reading. She doesn't get that as much time to read as she would like, so I think it's really nice to be able to record this, and I want to just give that relaxing vibe. All the books behind could be all the books that she'd like to read, never gets the chance, or all the books she's already read. You can read this layout any way that you like. I will be adding a little bit of journaling to the back for myself about the book she's currently reading, but you won't be able to see that from the front of the layout. So I'm just now adding a few bits on foam pads, just trying to layer up around so that adding a little bit of depth. Definitely wanted to add a cup or a mug or something like that as well. And I've added a little tab so I can put the date in when I've finished. So I do tend to cut up my foam pads just to add little bits to the back of these die cuts. So I apologise, it makes so much mess. And I'm standing, so you'll find that there's, well, luckily you can't see my feet because there's usually bits of those stuck to my slippers because we've got a stone floor. So I've got my slippers on and I've got bits of foam pad stuck to the top of them, no doubt. Anyway, I'm digressing. I'm just trying to get these bits to work. I definitely want a cup or a drink or another plant or something. I always end up doing this, faffing a little bit, particularly when I'm getting near the end. But I'm trying not to spend too much time now messing about. I am going to come in with a little bit more of the colour. It's very difficult to see, but I'm just adding a little bit more underneath the photo and the tag, just to carry it down a little bit, and then along under those books, because I didn't actually obviously gauge very well where I wanted to put it when I put it on the plain cardstock. So adding a few splatters, and I'm actually adding some bigger dots as well. As I say, they end up very pale, so it's not too big a deal. Also now adding some wax cotton thread. You'll find that in the Hey Little Magpie shop as well. I really would recommend you check out this range and more. There's lots of new Simple Stories ranges there in the store. Do give this video a thumbs up, and by all means leave us a comment. That would be great. Subscribe to their channel, my channel. That would be great too, because we love to see you, and we love to have these videos watched if we can. I'm really pleased with the curve of that now. I'm just double checking whether there's anything else that I want to add in before I finish. Thinking about adding some words, but I think there's potentially enough going on, and I add another flower. So here's the finished layout. As I say, the mixed media is a bit pale on these. There's some close-ups too. Thank you so much for watching. It's much appreciated, and I hope to see you here real soon. Bye for now.